We are the original inhabitants of this land called Australia by the white men. We have been here since the beginning of time, since the dream time, when everything we know was created. My people know how to sing each and every place of this sacred country, while we contemplate G, the sun god. Each song is a living map which describes a specific path, the course of a river, a mountain or forest. If you brought together all these songs which are passed down from generation to generation, and which come from dreams, we would compose the map of Australia. At twilight, the humming of the didgeridoo, our religious instrument, reminds us who we are and what we are doing here. It is the beat of our tradition which keeps us united and attached to the land. I am old Yaka Garimala, an Australian Aborigine, as foreigners call us, and I'm going to tell you what our world is like. My country is enormous. It is an island that could be a continent. It is the most beautiful country in the world. We have deserts, jungles, savanna, plateaus and mountains with deep canyons carved by furious torrents. The sea is all around. Along our coast there are bays and inlets and sacred cliffs like this one of Bickerton Island. This is where I live. We elders have the important task of initiating the young into our customs, explaining our history to them, and teaching them to respect the traditional laws. Our people, our culture, are the oldest in the world. We were already here thousands of years ago. We were around at the same time as what the white men called Homo sapiens. In these caves and caverns, we can feel the influence of the spirits of our ancestors. If you sleep here, you can see them in your dreams and receive their messages. They come and fill you with their strength, and when you wake, you feel very good. These are sacred places for us. In the past, people lived in caves and natural shelters like these. Across all our territory, you can find paintings made by our forefathers and which speak of the dream time, the creation, and how they lived 50,000 years ago. In the Kakadu National Park lies Ubi Rock, where the rainbow serpent stopped after creating the world and was painted on a rock so that people could see her. Over time, our forefathers left on the rocks a complete collection of images which depict their way of life and their beliefs. They painted the animals they hunted or fished, so the spirits would help them capture them. In this way, we know to what extent these animals are the same ones as those we eat today. Barramundi fish, long-necked tortoises, kangaroos, crocodiles, wallabies. We know that they knew what many of the animals they drew were like inside, their skeletons and some of their entrails. The paintings in some of the most inaccessible places were made by the mimis, the lesser spirits which are the cause of everything that happens to us, good or bad. According to the legend, with their long, thin bodies, they glided to the very top of the cave, took pieces of rock, brought them down to the ground, painted them, and then put them back on the ceiling. On these ancient rocks, they also drew figures of the men of that time, warriors and hunters who used these same spears and harpoons as we do now. We have always respected all the beings of creation. Each tribe, each person, has one or more animals which are their totems, because they are in their dreams, and they can't hunt them or eat them. When we get together to dance around the fire, we sing the dreams of the animals, the stories of how they were created, and how man developed special techniques to hunt them and obtain food. Those that dance and sing paint their faces and bodies with kaolin to look like the spirits which, according to our beliefs, are of a grey color. The dances are performed in order to worship or give thanks to nature. Traditionally, they are to us the spirits for a particular prey, or to forgive us for having hunted an animal without their permission. The atmosphere is almost always festive. The participants cheer the steps of those dancing in the center, and there is a kind of competition among them. Each one specializes in imitating a specific animal, which is normally their totemic animal. Apart from the didgeridoo, the musicians also beat their yidakas. Each group has its own rhythm, which identifies them. It is a symbol of union among them. Only the high dignitaries can beat the yidakas. They are the ones who change the beats of the different songs and direct the dances. The dance of the women is slower and more measured. They are normally in a state of trance, possessed by the spirits of the forest which protect them. Their movements imitate their work of gathering and collecting. Do you like our dances? Do you like our music and our songs?
The sound of the didgeridoo frightens me.
You shouldn't be afraid of the didgeridoo. It's a sacred instrument. With its sound, the great god Baime created the stars in the dream time. The men who know how to play it are very important in our culture. With the didgeridoo, they communicate our wishes to the spirits, and they call on them to come to our aid when tragedy befalls us. This sacred instrument brings us closer to the world of our ancestors. It awakens the rainbow serpent without making it angry, and allows us to speak with the God of creation. It is difficult to play because you have to blow constantly using the technique of circular breathing. You expel the air using the cheeks and tongue, at the same time inhaling through the nose. Good musicians can keep the sound going without stopping for 10 minutes.
Yaka, how do you make a didgeridoo?
The didgeridoo is not made by man like other musical instruments. We simply look for them, clean them, and decorate them. The didgeridoos are made by the ants. To collect the didgeridoos, the men go into the forest and observe the eucalyptuses. From the hollow sound, they know that the termites have completed their work. And when they find a trunk of the right length and thickness, they cut the piece that will become the didgeridoo. Then, in a comfortable place to work, they prepare the hollow trunk. First, they clean it and remove the bark. Normally, it's the musicians themselves that prepare these instruments. With a metal bar which has been heated in the fire, they burn the pieces of wood and excrement that the termites have left and empty it. And the didgeridoo is ready. Later, each musician will get an artist to decorate it with designs that are normally related to the Dreamtime or totemic animals. We have always lived in this region called Arnhem Land. Our people were nomads, always moving from one place to another, carrying their few belongings with them. That is why we know the forest so well. In the forest, we know how to get everything we need. Gathering has always been very important for us. Fruits, berries, medicinal herbs, roots and tubers have long formed the basis of our diet. The women have always worked in the forest, carrying out these tasks. No one knows nature like they do. Depending on how flexible the lianas and the stems of the plants are, they know whether or not the roots are big enough or tasty enough to be cooked. They collect yams which grow wild in the humid areas. Their work is very dangerous. They disturb the vegetation, and you have to be careful how you treat nature, because before long she will get angry and attack you in one way or another. They often come across the king brown, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. Its bite is always fatal. Hunting and war have always been men's work, and they have always made their own weapons. Without a doubt, the boomerang is the best known of these. They are pieces of wood carved with a slight curve, which makes them more accurate when they are thrown. The heavier they are, the more effective they will be in bringing down prey. Our most expert hunters are capable of hitting an animal from over 160 meters. Normally they hunt small animals, though the most sought-after prey, which brings the hunter the greatest prestige, is the red kangaroo, the biggest of all. Despite what most people think, a real boomerang does not come back. The tourist and the souvenir industry has invented devices decorated with designs from our culture, which they sell as if they were authentic boomerangs. These do come back, after describing spectacular curves in the air. But for us they have no value. They are no good to hunt with or anything. The efficiency of the boomerang comes exclusively from its weight and the curvature, which makes it easier to handle. But the boomerang is not our only weapon. In the jungle, we cut flexible rods of bougainvillea with which we make spears and harpoons for fishing. In fact, the spear is our best weapon. We used them in our fight against the white men who invaded our country and drove us off the land that belonged to us. Once outside the forest, we make a fire and heat the flexible rods to harden them. Then we remove the bark and cut them to the right size for each man.